Hello, Jared the Wyrd-Worker here. In this video, I'd like to talk about experiencing the divine, and particularly pagan deities, through our own personal lenses. In the past, I've also referred to our personal lenses as our personal filters, which is also an accurate way of describing the phenomenon I want to talk about. None of us come to the divine as a blank slate. We've lived, we've experienced things. We've developed thoughts, both conscious and unconscious ones, and patterns of behavior. When we come into contact with the divine in any of its various forms, all of that influences both what we experience during contact and how we interpret that divine contact and process what it means to us. The idea that there is an objective, unfiltered, and uninterpreted experience of the divine makes no more sense and holds no more water than the idea that there is an objective, unfiltered, and uninterpreted understanding of revelation within a sacred text. I think that the thing most people don't understand is that this is actually a good thing and something to be celebrated. The fact that we bring our full selves to our relationships with the divine and filter those experiences through everything that we are, that we know, that we feel, and that we have experienced is what helps shape our unique dialogue with the divine. It's what drives some to speak with Freya, others to speak with Thor, and still others to seek a more mystical and impersonal union with the divine. And even those who decide not to think about the divine at all and focus on a purely material view of the world. It's what allows even devotees of a single deity, like Freya, to have very different relationships with that deity and different experiences of that deity. Because like the divine, individual deities tend to be complex, and different aspects of what they have to offer likely appeals to different people. Let's use a more human analogy to understand this better. Consider the wide assortment of friends that I have. I have friends who primarily think of me as a fellow witch. My friends from work likely tend to think of me mostly as an accomplished programmer and computer geek. Other friends tend to think of me as a Marvel enthusiast, or at least a wannabe one. This is because each friend finds different common ground with me and tends to focus on that. Hopefully each of those friends acknowledge those other aspects of my identity and those other topics that I'm interested in. But it's okay if they focus on the stuff that they share an interest in as well, as that's the best foundation for our particular relationship to be built on. And for every friend I have, there's probably at least one side of my personality or one interest I have that they are completely unaware of. Probably simply because it just never came up in the context of our relationship. And that's perfectly okay too. Allowing deities to similarly be complex beings who have similarly diverse relationships with different people based on the particular person's needs and interests just makes a lot of sense to me. The problem comes when we fail to acknowledge that we experience deities and the divine and interpret those experiences through the lenses of our experiences, thoughts, and feelings. When we do that, we start to see our experience as objective and the one true way against which we evaluate and audit others' experiences. This can lead to heresy hunts and other terrible harms against our fellow human beings. It is better instead to approach another person's unique experience, which is likely to be different than our own, with a sincere curiosity and desire for mutual understanding. What does their own interpretive lens look like? How does it differ from our own? Is there any aspect of their interpretive lens that we might want to incorporate into our own? I will offer a word of caution here. Your interpretive lens is the only one you control, yours alone. You cannot and should not ask or attempt to force someone to change their interpretive lens to better resemble your own. And for the most part, why would you do that? Their interpretive lens is meant to serve their own needs and journey, not serve your needs or your ego. But examining our own interpretive lens is a healthy part of any practice in my view. It's good to understand what shapes our experience of deities and the divine in general, and how we interpret those experiences after the fact. Sometimes our interpretive lens does need to be adjusted to better serve us, but that should be a self-directed process, not something forced on us by some external force or authority. How about you? Have you thought much about your own interpretive lens and how it affects your experience and understanding of your deities or the divine in general? I'd love to hear your thoughts and experiences in the comment section below. Until next time, blessed be.